morning, grade 7 students. Welcome again to our new class. For our session today, we are going to discuss about Module 6, the ecological relationships. Before studying this module, we are going to follow some reminders. 1. Use the module with care. Do not put unnecessary marks on any part of the module. 2. Read the instruction carefully before doing each task. 3. Observe honesty and integrity in doing the task and checking your answers. Number 4. Finish task at hand before proceeding to the next. 5. Return this module to your teacher or facilitator once you are through with it. And lastly, if you encounter any difficulty in answering tasks this module, do not hesitate to consult or call your teacher or facilitator. Always bear in mind that you are not alone. So for the first part, in our environment, there are plants, animals, and other organisms interacting with each other. Interaction and relationship exist in an ecosystem in search for food, shelter, and protection. This interaction may have positive, neutral, or even negative influences on interacting population. For the module, it is divided into 5 lessons, and these are the following ecological interactions that we are going to discuss for today's lesson. For Lesson 1, mutualism, Lesson 2, commensalism, Lesson 3, parasitism, Lesson 4, predation, and Lesson 5, competition. After going through this module, you are expected to describe the different ecological relationships found in an ecosystem. Most specifically, we are going to describe each of the ecological relationships that exist between and among organisms in an ecosystem. Explain how the organisms are affected by the relationship. Lastly, make a collage showing the ecological relationship of organisms in the ecosystem. For the what I know, the direction is to choose the letter of the best answer. Write your answer in your science activity notebook or in your answer sheets or in your worksheets. This comprises with 15 items of questions. Lesson 1. So the first one for the ecological relationship is your mutualism. For the mutualism, it contains activity 1 titled Complete Me. So for the direction, you are going to observe your surroundings, identify the biotic and abiotic factors, which means biotic, the living things, and abiotic, the non-living thing factors that you can find, and copy and complete the table by giving the name of the ecosystem observed, and identify the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. Write your answers in your answer sheets or in your activity notebooks. There are different kinds of ecosystem around us. In these ecosystems are different kinds of organisms such as humans, cats, dogs, snakes, organisms too that belong to the same species and live in the same place form a populations. So populations that live in the same place and interact with each other form a community. So organisms interact with each other and their environment to meet their basic needs and survive. Some interactions are beneficial, others are harmful. There are also interactions in which population of organisms are neither benefited nor harmed. So for mutualism, it is an ecological relationship where both organisms are being benefited. It plays an important role in the growth, reproduction, and survival of the organism, and in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem, as shown on the background of this PowerPoint presentation. For the activity 2, pair me. For the direction, based on the pairing of organisms below, describe their relationship. Write your answer in your science activity notebook or in your answer sheets. So pair number 1, the organism involved is a flower plant, and a bee. So when a bee, for the description, when a bee gets food from a flower, they get some pollens on their bodies, and when they move from one flower to another, some of the pollens are transferred. Thus, this will help the flower to be pollinated. The bee gets food to eat, and the flower plants get to reproduce. The relationship between the bee and the flower is beneficial for both organisms. The next activity, 3, is to fill me. For the direction, describe the interaction of the given examples labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4, and use the following symbols: plus for benefited, minus for harmed, and 0 for unaffected, to describe the effect of the relationship. So write your answers in your science activity notebook. So example A is done for you. So here, when it is positive, it is benefited, and when it is negative, it is harmed. When 0, it is unaffected. So in the example, fungi and algae, they are both positive, so they are both benefited. Next lesson is for your lesson 2, commensalism. For the activity 1, answer me. So study the picture and answer the given questions. Write your answers in your activity notebook. For commensalism, here's an example. Barnacles are being benefited, and the pawikan, or the sea turtle, is not affected. Another example is the clownfish and the sea anemone. For the clownfish, they use sea anemone as a habitat, while sea anemone is not affected, but then the clownfish is being benefited. Activity 3, you are my home. Directions: examine the relationship below, identify the organism involved in the relationship, describe whether the organism is benefited, harmed, or unaffected. So you are going to draw the given symbol below: smiley for benefited, harmed for sad, and unaffected, no emotions at all. Next, for the lesson 3, parasitism. Activity 1, picture talk. For the direction, study the pictures and answer the question below. Write your answer in your science activity notebook or your answer sheet. So in the picture, you see a mosquito biting a hen. So what do we mean by parasitism? Parasitism is a positive and a negative relationship in which one organism is benefited while the other is affected and harmed. The organism that benefits from the relationship is called the parasite, which is usually smaller than the other organism or the host. So we have here parasites examples. We have here parasite examples, the 3 pictures here. So we have also crustacean parasites. Okay, so a tongue-eating loss. It can also block the air passage of human if this. So there are types of parasites: an ectoparasite, or the parasite that is outside the body or the host. An example of this ectoparasite or outside the body of the host is your mosquito or your leech. An endoparasite, or inside the body of the host, or basically we have here an example, your roundworms or tapeworms. So for the activity 3, frenemy or friend enemy. Direction: identify the organism involved in the relationship and describe whether the organism is benefited, harmed, or unaffected using the symbol below. Plus for benefit, minus if harmed, 0 if unaffected. So, example 1 is already done for you. Write your answers in your science activity notebook. So, lice and child. So, child for A, host for the parasite, organism B. So, for the host, it is minus because the child is harmed, while the parasite or the lice is benefited. For the activity 4, word search. Direction: search for at least 10 words that are associated with parasitism, straight, across, and down or diagonally. Copy and answer the puzzle in your science activity notebook. Review and connect the first 3 ecological relationships. Symbiosis is any of the several living arrangements between members of 2 different species, including mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Both positive or beneficial and negative, unfavorable to harmful associations are therefore included, and the members are called symbionts. Mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism are a major type of symbiosis. Next lesson is your lesson 4, predation. For the first activity, which is what? The direction below is a table showing different organisms and their interactions. Fill in the table with the correct answer. Write your answers in your science activity notebook or in your answer sheet. So letter A is already done for you. So we have here an example: lizards and insect. Which is the eater? It is your lizard. Which is eaten? And it is your insect. So what happened to the organism being eaten? The organism being eaten is harmed and it will die. So the insect will be eaten by the lizard. Another relationship that exists in the ecosystem is the food-getting relationship. One organism is benefited while the other one is killed and eaten by the other organism. This relationship is called predation. An animal that kills and eats other animal is called a predator. An animal that is killed and eaten by the predator is called prey. Prey and animal are usually smaller and less powerful than the predator that eats them. In a given community, predators compete with other predators for prey animals. In the wild, a predator's prey may be another prey's predator. This means that while an animal hunts and feeds upon another animal, it can also become the prey to a larger and stronger predator. So we have here an example. In the shown picture, a lion eats a buffalo. The predators are the lion, while the prey are the buffalo. So for the activity 3, who's my predator? Fill in the table with the eating pairs. An example is done for you. For example, chicken and ant. The predator is the chicken, while the prey is the ant. So we are going to describe the relationship. The chicken eats the ant. The ant is eaten by the chicken. So the ant is being harmed and killed. For the activity 4, me and my food. Direction: using the organism below, identify at least 3 interactions which you are involved as a predator. Describe the effect of the relationship to your prey, whether it is benefited, harmed, or unaffected, by using the given symbols. Write your answers in table 3.1, predators-prey relationship, in your science activity notebook. And lastly, for the lesson 5, we are going to study competition. For the first activity, this your picture talk. Identify the ecological relationships shown in the pictures. Write your answers in your science and activity notebook. So for the question 1, what ecological relationship is shown? Write in each of these pictures. Activity 2, picture analysis. Direction, describe the relationship that exists between and among organisms as shown in the picture. So the illustration shows a corn and a cocoa grass. What will happen to the grass or the corn if one of them grows much bigger, or the cocoa grass grows much bigger than the corn? Write your answers in your science activity notebook. So there are 3 questions here. So in the ecosystem, competition takes place when organisms compete for limited resources like food, space, shelter, or territory and mates. Competition may happen between organisms of the same species or between different species. It is an ecological relationship that exists between organisms competing for a limited resources like food, shelter, territory, or mates. So in competition, both organisms involved are harmed or affected negatively. It has a negative to negative effect on the organism. So a competition, a relationship where 2 or more organisms compete for one limited resources, in which all organisms are being harmed. For activity 3, fill me. Observe each organism in the picture below. Fill in the appropriate box with the organism involved in the relationship. Write your answers in your science activity notebook or in your answer sheets. There are 2 types of competition. First is the interest-specific competition, or the competition between 2 the same species, as shown in the left portion of the screen, while the other is the interspecific competition, or the competition between 2 different species. To sum it all, in environmental relationships, we have the factors, 2 factors, the abiotic and biotic factors, or the living or non-living factors. For the living factors, we have 3, the symbiosis, competition, predation, or the predator-prey relationship. This symbiosis is divided again into 3 parts, which is your parasitism, mutualism, and commensalism. For the next activity, what I have learned, direction, fill in the blank with the missing word, and you are going to choose your answer from the given words in the box. Write your answer in your science answer sheet or activity notebook. For the what I can do part, we are going to visit a backyard or a garden, or just observe inside your house. List down the names of the living things or organism found in that area. So you can use common names, the organism. Using your list, identify the different ecological relationship that exists. Describe the effect of relationship, whether the organism is benefited, harmed, or unaffected. 4. Copy the table below and write your answers for this activity in your science activity or notebook or in your answer sheet. So we have here an example, butterfly and flower. Type of ecological relationship is mutualism. For organism A, or the butterfly, it is benefited. For organism B, which is your flower, it is also benefited. So the type of ecological relationship that both showing is mutualism. For the assessment part, you are going to choose the letter of the best answer. Write your answer in your science activity notebook. This assessment comprises of 15 question items. And lastly, for the additional activities, for the direction, make a photo collage of the different relationship in the ecosystem by cutting out pictures, printing pictures, and pasting it in your science activity notebook or science answer sheets. So the rubrics are given in the left side corner of your screen. So we have here the concept idea, the organization, and the presentation. Excellent for the score. Excellent is 20 points, very good for 15 points, good for 10, and fair for 4 points. If you're done watching, comment down your names on the comment section below, and I will use that as your attendance. Thank you for listening, and goodbye, students.